full. So next hand. So let's have a look. I have pocket nines, 50 big blinds. I'm ultra tight.
What a needle this chat box is. Yeah.
What is it?
Yeah, we're seeing the UCIT stats.
Get Gareth off the stream. That's this low dope channel.
That's why Calvi is being so nice in the chat. He just wants to keep us occupied while he wins all the seats.
Okay, so I'm opening nines.
Okay, we've gone for the 2FX again. Yeah, I mean it's fine if that's your open size.
Oh, sorry, I have to fix the. Why is this always happening? So annoying.
You've just opened 20 bigs actually, yeah.
Yeah. Sorry, that's. I was looking at the wrong stats. Let me figure this out. It's like a puzzle every time. This is the stuff you learn when you're like 3 years old.
Okay, when you open this hand, Christian, just before we go see what actually happens in the hand, what do you think? What are you doing if somebody shoves on you?
There we go. Okay, yeah. Now that I see that it's 23 big blinds, I think I'm opening this to, call the small blind. Actually, all of the guys on my left here, and with the big blind, probably as well. Actually, thinking just raising to call any shove.
Okay, yeah, that's good. So that's your plan. So when you open this hand, you're hoping that somebody has 8s or 7s and decides to shove it in, or ace 5 suited.
Yeah, it's like all the. Well, on the other hand, though, I was saying that if I look at all the three bet numbers here, it's like 0, 4, 8, and 0.
Yeah, they are all low. Some of them are small samples, like you've only 14 in the big blind.
But again, like when one of them gets ace jack,
they're still going to shove it in. So the other thing you need to do as well when you're using Poker Tracker is like these are the frontline stats as it were. This is how much they 3-bet in general from every position. But like, some guys never 3-bet when they're in mid position, or they 3-bet quite a lot on the button. So yeah, you do what you're doing now. You got the detailed stats of how they 3-bet from the big blind.
Sorry.
Now, when you have a hand like 9s, that's strong enough to raise and call against most people. The other thing to consider is when you don't have a strong hand, when you have a hand like ace rag, let's say you have ace 5 off or something, which clearly is going to be a raise fold if you open it. But the question is, should you open or not? And that's when the 3 stats become really important. So when you open like ace 5, it's basically a pure steal. So you're putting in 12.5 to win 12.5. So it needs to work half the time. So in that spot, like if you have a hand like ace 4, ace 5, you should be looking at all the 3-bet stats rather than to their seat. So like let's say the big blind 3-bets 20% from the big blind, and the small blind 3-bets 10%, and the other 2 guys are 10%. And if you out those 3 numbers, that comes to 50%. So if you open a hand like ace 4 off, it's more or less break even. Discount the time is when they call. And
I never thought about adding those up.
Yeah, that's how often it works as a steal.
Yeah,
it's dirty.
It's quick and dirty. It's not quite mathematically correct because there's
a
but
there's a 10% chance of being in the 20, and that's only 2%.
Yeah.
So it's good enough basically.
But the important one I'm trying to make here is that when you have a hand that is a pure steal, you need to know 2 things. You need to know first of all how often it has to work to steal. So, and given that you're opening your entire range the same size, like if I'm opening here, I'm just raising, so I'm putting 10 into win 12.5. So my steals only need to work 45% of the time to be profitable. But you're opening for pot, so your steal needs to work half the time. So that's the first thing, and and that'll be emblazoned in your mind anyway, since you're always opening the same amount. When I open as a seal, it has to work half the time. The second question is it going to work half the time? Now, the reason why you open a hand like ace-4 or you consider it as a light open is, first of all, the ace blocker is quite important, because when you only 4 people behind and you take an ace out that they can have, one less card that they can have in the range of hands that play back against you. So that makes it a few percent more likely that they're going to fold. Yeah. It's a minor factor. Still, it's going to work. But you're looking for a quick and dirty win game when you're playing lots of other tables to be able to make a decision as to whether you think this deal will work 50% of the time or not. And the quickest and easiest way to do that is just add up all of the numbers.
Cool. I never thought of that. Cool. Okay, let's see. The button calls.
Okay, this will be interesting. This is going to be.
Oh, this is a good spot. Yeah.
I checked.
So what's your first thought when you see this flop? After you say fuck this or whatever is your profound interest? I don't know much.
Scheiße.
Scheiße.
No, so just like looking as well, that I have 222 hands of that guy. It's quite significant actually, and showing that he could have quite a wide range and quite a strong hand as well, really, because.
Well, let's take that first of all. When you're trying to evaluate his range here, what stat are you looking at on the HUD?
Now I would look at the 3-bet.
Okay, but he didn't 3-bet pre-flop.
No.
So
it was just basically.
So we know he doesn't have any of those hands that we think he would 3-bet, but I think Doak's getting to the idea that VPIP is maybe a bit more.
No, that's exactly my point. Is like even though he's on the button and his range might be very wide, this particular player only has a VPIP of 16%. So he only plays 1/6 of hands. Now it'd be worth drilling down not to see how often he puts money to the pot on the button. It might not more often, but he's definitely appears to be on the tight side.
Sorry, so the HUD thing here is, or the stats are really weird. They're stuck to my mouse.
Okay, so his VP on the button is 13%, if I'm reading that right?
13.
So it looks like he has tight range, even though he's on the button. So he has quite a tight range. We know that his hand is strong enough to 3-bet, but it looks like he's not calling that often either. So he has a pretty strong range.
Yeah, my thinking here was that an ace and a 10 were definitely in his range here. So that's why I got worried and didn't continue.
Perfect. Yeah, it's important to realize the connection of let's say medium strength or strong, not including the nuts. Basically, the strength of a range can intersect with the board in different ways. And here, a range that had a lot of medium strength hands but not premium hands can become strong on this flop. So ace jack becomes strong on this flop. Ace 10 certainly becomes strong on this flop. Queen jack suited also becomes strong on this flop. The thing that strikes me about this flop, besides from the fact that we have 2 outs against 10x and ace-x, both of which he can have, is like the other hands that didn't connect with the pair have 2 overs and a gut shot or an open-ender against us. When we see he has VPIP, even if his VPIP is like 20%, that he's not going to have a lot of the hands we want him to have, like 6, 7. He's not going to have a lot. Basically 6, 7 and jack 9 and 9, 7. All the kind of hands we would hope he would have. King queen offsuit. Most of the time when he has the king queen or the king jack or the queen jack, he's also going to have, or half the time he'll have one of the flush draws, the back door or the front door. So this flop is just given what we know of him. This flop is normally quite bad for pocket nines, but it's doubly bad given like the information we have about this player.
Yeah, Gareth makes a good point. Like when you have a hand like pocket nines or any hand, and you're playing a pot against somebody who is flatted, one of the things you need to consider when the flop comes down is this a good flop or is this a bad flop? And this is about as bad. This is certainly towards the lower end of flops. When you're sitting there with pocket nines, you do not want to see the ace 10 8 flop. So this is one of the worst flops you can get. So when you're basically at the bottom of your range as far as flops go, from a purely game theory perspective, you have two options now. Your hand isn't strong enough to go check call, check call, check call. That's suicidal. You don't have a middly hand. So you either have to just check fold and go, well, this is as bad as it gets, so I just give up, or you think about turning it into bluff, and you can do this with the bottom of your range as well. When you're thinking about turning into a bluff, you have to start considering other factors then, which is like how often will the bluff actually work. If I'm bluffing here, what hands can I get to fold? Can I get him to fold a 10? You think a 10 is a big part of it. Can I maybe get him even to fold a weaker ace on some runouts? And the stats that you're looking at to make that evaluation are basically his folding stats. This guy has a fold bet of 80%.
Yeah. I just now saw it. Yeah, rarely look at that
so
one.
It is actually possible we can get him to fold some hands here.
Yeah, we can get him to fold Jack 10.
Yeah, I'm pretty. If he's folding to 80%, we
and
can.
King Queen will always fold.
And he'll always fold King Queen. So it looks like he's folding quite a lot. So probably the only hands he's not going to fold are an ace. So one bluffing option, is to just bet once, hope he doesn't have the ace, and you can get a 10 to fold.
And the thing is, quite often I would do that as well. But I think here my issues were, first of all, that I don't have a lot of chips that I started the hand with. So I was a bit worried that if I bet now, I just leave myself with an awkward stack afterwards. And then I just gave him an ace so often that I just thought a bluff won't work. So those were the two reasons.
Yeah, it does seem range is very ace heavy.
Yeah, the point I guess would be hands where we have like this is one of the worst hands to bluff with. Hands where we have closer decision, King Queen, when we have it ourselves, for example. Only has 4 outs maybe to improve against a lot of his range. Those kind of stats that we just reviewed would like make King Queen a clear semi bluff. Whereas nines is very close to pocket twos here. In fact, so like we have a lot of problems with pocket nines blocks 8 and 9 10. Some of the hands that we might want to get him off of on futures.
Yeah, like
it's a very bad hand, and like might check down an 8 with us or pocket 7s with us. Like I think your play is perfect basically.
So when check.
Now this is kind of
because check on the flop. Yeah.
I checked the turn and he bets the turn.
I don't think this plays well enough as a check call. So check calling is a question here, I think, straight away, because you're just in a total another Jack Alley spot, as David Lappin likes to call it.
I actually did call.
Okay.
Right, let's own him, the river. Let's own him. This will be a climactic ownage to finish the set.
So it's the weird thing, because I basically put like mainly an ace completely in his range. And now that another ace comes, I suddenly not completely rule it out, but I feel like it's less likely, and I could actually now suddenly have the better hand.
Yeah, this
that's reasonable.
His bet lines up with what we expect from a 10, like Jack 10, Queen 10. But he might also be this player making like a delayed play at the pot, like he's betting now with King Queen to try and take it down, which he should have done on the flop, but because of his tendencies, But we are constructing kind of hopeful scenarios.
And it is a judgment call. You're basically saying, okay, I think this is the type of player who, when I check the flop, he decides not to bluff. but then when the second ace on the turn comes, he decides to bluff. Now that's a very particular type of player, and you actually get a kind of a picture from looking at his post-flop stats if he's that type of player. Now, what we know about this player is he's very tight pre-flop. It looks like he only plays 15 to 15% of the hands on the button. He only 3-bets 4%, which is definitely on the low end. He folds to c-bet 80%. So everything we know about this player in terms of his stats suggests he's conservative, not that he's sort of a maniacal bluffing maniac.
Yeah, we still can't, like, he can only have the range of hands that we thought he had on flop when we checked. So when he bets this makes his turn bet rather, we can't like add 6-7, those hands that we wanted him to. So basically, yeah, we're in a precarious situation.
Yeah,
basically,
or a dark tunnel spot or a dark alley spot. Because if you check the river now, he's going to bet all of his aces.
Yeah, that's the other thing about a player like this. Like he can check even strong aces. Did we own him on the river?
King, queen,
Oh, went check on the river. So he has no heart, first of all. But it's important. Like I think one of the most important lessons from this side is to realize that he chose to bluff the wrong street.
Yeah.
You know, if he bluffs the flop, he gets a single board against your check call range. So he still gets to draw to his gut shot on 2 cards if he bluffs the flop.
And he has better equity on the flop.
And he has better equity, and he puts the most pressure on, because when he bets the flop, he's at least implying there's at least the potential for future bets. You know, it's a much scarier bluff for you to face on the flop than on the turn.
Exactly. Yeah.
Because one more card as opposed to 2. So he really let you off the hook in a lot of ways in this spot.
Yeah, it just looked so suspicious when he bet the turn that I felt like, no, I think I'm actually good.
Yeah, like the question is, why would he not bet the flop with an ace? But like Garrett said, or the flop with an ace, it is more consistent with a 10, where on the flop he thinks, oh, okay, well I have showdown, let's see what happens on the turn. Then the ace comes on the turn, and he thinks, oh, well now she definitely doesn't have the ace. I must have the best hand with a 10.
Same
like,
thinking as I had, basically.
I still don't think the turn call is correct. You pretty much need him to have this hand or queen jack.
Yeah, but I think I agree with that. And like, if he had bet 17,000 on the flop, you would have folded.
Yeah.
The 17,000 you bet on the turn had a lot less leverage. Because one, you got a good card for your particular hand, and 2, because there's only 1 card left to come. So the biggest mistake would have been checking and calling the flop. The turn is probably a small mistake, but yeah.
What were you going to do, Christian, if you shoved the river?
I would have folded.
Yeah, he should shove the river, because when you take that line, I don't think you ever hit the ace. So you're going to be shoving. You're going to be folding most of your range. Like if he shoves the river, it's for just over pot. So he only needs you to fold half the time.
Yeah.
For that to be correct.
There's so many ways to own this guy in this pot with the range, because you should be checking some aces on the flop, and you know I don't know. I want to play poker against this guy on the button, basically.
Okay. I'll